I'm packed, Mom. Do I put my bag in the trunk? Her eyes flicked away from mine, down to the porch. Sweetheart, maybe just leave it here for now. Why? Aren't we leaving in a few minutes? My voice cracked from the driveway. Mark barked, Emily, we're already late. Get Chris and Lily in the car. We don't have time for this. I stared at him. Late for what? I thought we were all going. Chris shoved past me with his headphones on. Move, loser. I called the window seat already. Lily followed with her little backpack, clutching her stuffed bear. She gave me a quick glance, then looked at the ground. She didn't say a word. Mom, I whispered, tell him I'm coming. She reached for my arm, but her hand trembled. It's just one trip, honey, Mark thought. Maybe it would be better this way. Better for who? Not me? My throat tightened. I packed. You told me last week to be ready, Mark. Opened the driver's door. He's not coming, Emily. End of story. We don't need dead weight on this trip. I clenched my fists. I'm not dead weight. I'm your son. You're my responsibility, not my son, he shot back, cold as ice. The words hit harder than a punch. I looked at my mom, desperate. Say something. Please, Mom. Tell him I belong with you. Tears welled in her eyes. Baby, I can't fight him right now. We'll have our time later, I promise. I shook my head. Later? When? After you've had fun without me? After you've played family while I sit here alone? Chris rolled down his window. We're seriously going to argue all day? Dad, let's go. Dad, I spat the word. He's not even your real dad. Chris, he's just the guy who decided I don't matter. Mark leaned over the steering wheel. That's enough. Get inside, Emily. We're leaving, Mom, I begged, my voice breaking. Don't get in that car. She wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand, whispered I'm sorry, and walked away from me. I took a step forward. You're really doing this? You're leaving me here like I'm nothing? She hesitated at the car door, her shoulders shaking. It's just a vacation, she whispered. No, I snapped. It's more than that. You're choosing them over me. Mark slammed the door shut once she got in. The engine roared to life. Wait, I shouted, running closer. I'm your kid too. You can't just drive off. Chris laughed from the back seat. Guess you're not invited, bro. Lily peeked out her window. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but Mark's glare silenced her. I banged my fist against the hood. Take me with you. Mark shifted the car into reverse. Back away, kid. I'm not a kid, I yelled. I'm family, whether you like it or not. The car jerked backward. I stumbled back onto the porch, heart pounding. Mom, I screamed. Look at me. For a moment, she did. Through the glass, her eyes locked with mine, full of guilt, fear, and something weaker than love. Then she looked away. The tires crunched over gravel. The car rolled down the driveway, carrying them farther and farther. I ran to the edge of the yard. Don't leave me. My voice echoed into the empty street. But the only sound left was their laughter inside the car as it faded down the road. Silence pressed in. My bag sat on the porch where I left it, zipped and ready like it was mocking me. I dropped to my knees, gripping the straps. Why, Mom? Why wasn't I good enough? The wind didn't answer. The house behind me stood still. Cold. I buried my face in my hands, forcing myself to breathe. I won't forget this. Not ever. Images of Chris's smug grin, Mark's cutting words, and Mom's tearful silence burned into my mind. Each second replayed like a scar being carved deeper. They think I'll just accept it, I whispered. They think I'll stay quiet, stay broken. I wiped my eyes, standing tall, even though my chest felt hollow. No, I muttered. This won't break me. One day, they'll remember this moment. One day, they'll regret driving away. The sun dipped lower, painting the street in fading gold. I stood there, alone, but a fire burned inside me. I wasn't just the boy left behind. I was the boy who would rise, and I swore to myself, with the weight of every tear and every word unsaid, that this was not the end. This was the beginning. The front door slammed open, and laughter spilled into the house. Chris tossed a seashell onto the table. You should have seen the waves. I surfed like a pro. Mark ruffled his hair. That's my boy. You've got real talent. I stepped out of my room. So, you had fun? Chris smirked. More than fun. It was epic. Too bad you missed it. My stomach twisted. Too bad I wasn't invited. Mark dropped his keys on the counter. Don't start, kid. We gave you a quiet week here. You should be grateful. Grateful? My voice sharpened. You left me alone while you played family? How's that something I should thank you for? Mom walked past me with grocery bags from the trip. Let's not fight. Everyone's tired? Tired? I snapped. You look happy? You all do. Meanwhile, I was stuck here counting hours. Lily hugged her stuffed bear. The fireworks were pretty, she whispered, almost guilty. I swallowed hard. Yeah, I bet they were. Chris leaned against the wall. Seriously, man, don't be so dramatic. It's just one vacation. One vacation? You don't get it. I glared at him. It's not about the trip. It's about being left behind. Mark cut in, his tone sharp. Enough. This house doesn't need your whining every time something doesn't go your way. I pointed at him. You made me feel like I don't belong. That's not whining, that's truth. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Please, stop. I can't handle this tonight. Then when can we talk about the fact you let him treat me like I'm not your son? Her lips trembled, but she stayed quiet. Mark snorted. See? Even your mother knows you're making a scene. I felt my chest burn. She knows I'm right. She just won't say it. Chris rolled his eyes. God, you're annoying. No wonder Dad didn't want you around. He's not my dad. I shot back. And maybe that's why he hates me, because I remind him of it. Mark stepped closer. Careful, boy. You're on thin ice. I stood my ground. What are you going to do? Leave me again? Already been there? The silence stretched. Only Lily's small voice broke it. I missed you. I froze. What did you say? She looked at the floor. When we were gone, I kept thinking you'd like the rides. I wanted you there. For a second, my anger softened. Thanks, Lily. At least someone noticed. Mark waved dismissively. She's just being polite. Don't twist her words. I clenched my jaw. You can spin things however you want, but I'll remember. Every laugh you shared without me, every moment I was erased, I'll remember it all. Chris scoffed. Big words. What are you going to do? Keep a diary about how unfair life is? I met his eyes. No. I'm going to get stronger, smarter, and one day, you'll wish you hadn't treated me like trash. Mom reached out, whispering, please don't talk like that. I pulled back. Don't ask me to forget, Mom. You already did enough forgetting for both of us. The room went quiet again. Mark muttered something under his breath, grabbed a beer, and turned on the TV like I wasn't there. Chris followed him, bragging more about his surfboard tricks. Lily slipped into her room, hugging her bear tight, and my mom. She just stood there, staring at the floor like she was chained to silence. I retreated to my room, shutting the door harder than I meant to. My bag from last week still sat in the corner, untouched. Proof that I had been ready to go. I whispered to myself, they can ignore me all they want. I won't disappear. I pulled out a book, flipping pages without really reading. My anger simmered under every word. They think I'll stay small, I muttered. But I'll show them. Their betrayal will be the reason I rise. The laughter from the living room drifted through the thin walls, stabbing me over and over. I closed my book and clenched my fists. I'll survive this. I'll outgrow this. And one day, they'll regret forgetting me. The phone rang at midnight and I flinched. Happy birthday, kiddo. Mark's voice boomed, fake cheer. Thanks, I said, lying. How's college? Keeping up? He asked. I'm fine, I answered. Come over Sunday. Mom's making your favorite, he added. I said I'm fine. Mark, I don't need dinner to prove it. Don't be like that. We're reaching out, he smoothed. I don't want your pity dinners, I said. I'm busy. Busy with what? Work? School? He probed. All of it, I said. I'm juggling. Well, we worry about you. Don't shut us out, he said. I hung up. Their 3-minute calls were charity, not care. College became my escape. I worked evenings at a diner. You're saving up? My manager asked for books. I lied. Smart kid. Keep it up, she said, patting my shoulder. On Sundays I worked and watched families leave the diner hand in hand. The loneliness was loud one night. Mom called while I was washing dishes. We missed you at dinner, she said. I was at work, I said. You don't have to say you missed me. I'm trying, sweetheart, she whispered. Mark's under stress at the firm, but he asks after you. Does he? I asked, bitterness cutting through. Of course. He calls sometimes, she hedged. Sometimes isn't enough, I said. It was once. I'm sorry, she breathed. I don't need sorry. I need truth, I said, and hung up when my hands trembled. At family gatherings, Mark made sure the spotlight hit Chris and Lily. We're so proud of our kids, he'd declare. Arms spread like a man choosing trophies. I stood in the doorway and watched my name disappear into the crowd. At a neighbor's party, Chris bragged, Dad knows people. I could intern anywhere. You always had Dad's support, the neighbor said. Yeah, lucky me, Chris said. I stood by the punch bowl, pretending to sip. A girl nudged her friend and whispered, that boy looks like he has it rough. Pity stung like salt. I left before anyone could offer it. My shifts blurred into lectures and study groups. I took a second job tutoring calculus late into the night. How did you get through integrals? A student asked. Practice. And stubbornness, I said. You're smart, he said. Do you have plans after college? Yeah, I lied. To not be ignored. That's fair, he said. I learned to turn anger into output. I applied for internships, wrote essays, and learned early how paperwork could be a ladder. I stopped waiting for apologies and started making opportunities. Still, the nights were hard. I woke at 2 a.m. sometimes, heart pounding, seeing the car's taillights in my mind. The memory hit like a slap. Mom's hand slipping, Mark's jaw set, Chris's smirk. I counted the small betrayals like debts. They stacked. Once I ran into Lily at a bookstore. Hey, she said, surprise, making her voice soft. You're on the dean's list? Congrats. Thanks, I said. Ah! And felt the word heavy and earned. You look different, she smiled. Dad's distracted. He's worried about the firm. Mom asks about you. She does. My voice wanted to be flat, but didn't. She should just say it. She tries, Lily said. She says she's proud. Tell her thanks, I said. And tell her I don't need pity. I need honesty. I will, she promised. Fidgeting with her bag straps. At graduation, my name echoed over the loudspeaker, and for a moment I felt seen. After the ceremony, a neighbor shouted, Congrats, man. You did it. Thanks, I said, and smiled for the first time in a long time. My phone buzzed, Mark's name flashing. I didn't answer. Later that night, Mom texted, Want to come by tomorrow? There's cake, I typed. No thanks. I'm tired of being an option. Her reply came back, I'm sorry. Please don't be distant. I put the phone down and breathed. I had savings, a job offer, and a plan. Their silence had become fuel. Mark's dismissive comments had turned into markers for who I wouldn't become. My mother's guilt was an ache I carried, but one that kept me steady rather than breaking me. I promised myself then that when I returned, I'd walk in with my head high. Not to claim love or apologies, but to be acknowledged. The boy they left behind would come back a man they had to respect. Years later, Chris texted, See you at Dad's office? I typed, You won't see me like that. He sent a laughing emoji. I smiled, closed the phone, and walked on, knowing laughter would be on my side one day. I tightened my backpack at the campus gate and walked on, years settling like armor around my chest. I wasn't the same scared kid. I was sharpening. The city skyline faded in my rearview mirror as I drove back into the town I swore I'd never return to. My suit felt heavier than armor, my tie like a badge. I wasn't the boy they left behind anymore. I parked outside the old cafe, and that's where I saw her. Lily. She was taller, older, but her eyes gave her away. "Is that you?" she asked, blinking. "Yeah, it's me," I said, standing straighter. She let out a small laugh. You look different, sharp, successful." "People change," I replied. "Some of us had too," her smile faltered. "You're right. Well, it's been years. Do you want to grab dinner tonight? Mom would love to see you, Mom." The word tasted strange. "She talks about you," Lily said softly. "She regrets things and Mark?" I asked. Her jaw tightened. "He's still the same." I nodded. Figures that night I stood outside their house, no, his house. The lights glowed warm through the windows, laughter spilling out faintly. I rang the bell. Mom opened the door. Her hand flew to her mouth. "It's really you." "Yeah," I said. My voice was steadier than I felt. She touched my arm, hesitant. "You've grown into everything I hoped." I looked at her. "And yet, you let me grow alone." Her eyes shined. "I know, I'm sorry." "Save it," I said. "I'm here because Lily asked." Inside, the air smelled like roast chicken and polished wood. Chris leaned on the counter, phone in hand. He glanced up and smirked. "Well, look who crawled back." "Not crawled," I said. "Walked." "Same difference," he said, shrugging. "Some of us stayed and built real connections." "Connections or excuses?" I asked. "Careful," he sneered. "You don't know what it's like here anymore." "I know enough," I said then. Mark appeared. Glass in hand, smile sharp as ever. "Well, if it isn't the runaway." I see the suit, the confidence. "But tell me, are you still the same bitter boy underneath?" "No," I said, staring him down. "I'm the man you tried to erase." He chuckled. "Erase?" "I gave you a roof, food, schooling. You gave me silence." I cut in. "You gave me absence. Don't rewrite history." Mom flinched. "Please, not tonight." I turned to her. "Every night was like this for me. Tonight, you hear it too." Lily touched my sleeve. "Sit, eat. Just, let's try." I sat at the table, plate in front of me, appetite gone. Chris leaned across, smirking. "So, big shot, what do you even do now? Still bussing tables?" "I run projects you couldn't dream of," I said. "Projects?" He laughed. "Sounds boring." "Boring built my future," I said. "What's yours?" "Partying? Borrowing Dad's connections?" His smile faltered. "I have plans. Do you?" I asked, calm. Mom whispered, "Enough. This isn't why we're here." "No," I said. "But it's why I came." Mark leaned back. "So what is it you want then?" "Gratitude. Forgiveness." "I don't want either," I said. "I came to remind you I exist. To make sure the boy you abandoned stands before you now, not broken, not forgotten." The table went quiet. Lily finally said, "He's not wrong. Dad, you always pushed him out." "We all saw it," Mark scowled. "Careful, Lily." "No," she said firmly. "You don't get to silence me anymore." "He deserved better." Mom's hands shook as she set her fork down. "She's right." I looked between them. "This isn't about revenge tonight. It's about truth. You wanted me invisible." "I'm not. I built something without you," Mark sneered. "So proud of yourself, fine. Enjoy your little empire. Just remember whose name still carries weight here." "I don't need your name," I said, rising. "Mine's enough." I left the table, my footsteps echoing on the polished floor. Lily followed me to the door. "Wait," she whispered. "I'm glad you came. You're stronger than all of them now." "I see it." I searched her eyes. "Maybe you do. Maybe that's enough." Outside, the air was cold, sharp in my lungs. I straightened my tie and looked back once at the glowing windows. I wasn't the broken boy anymore. I was the reminder they couldn't erase, and I wasn't done yet. I first heard it at the cafe downtown. Two men in suits whispered at the next table. "Mark's done," one said. "Lost another contract. Can't pay his suppliers. Serves him right," the other muttered. "He screwed too many people." I stirred my coffee slowly, pretending not to listen. My lips curved. Finally, later, I ran into Mr. Hayes. An old neighbor Mark, once humiliated. "You're back," he said, surprised. "Yeah," I replied. "I hear times are tough for Mark." He chuckled bitterly. "He deserves it. Took money from me and never paid it back." "I can help," I offered. "Tell me what you need." His eyes widened. "Why?" "Because I remember," I said simply. Words spread quickly. I wasn't the boy they left anymore. I was the man extending a hand where Mark had slapped one away. At a charity event, I spotted him across the room. His suit was pressed, his smile forced, but his eyes darted nervously. Lily stood beside me. "He's been tense all week," she whispered. "Meetings, phone calls. He's hiding something." I smirked. "I already know." Mark's gaze landed on me. His jaw tightened. He walked over, drink in hand. "So," he said, voice clipped, "enjoying yourself?" "Very much," I replied. "Good turnout tonight." He leaned closer. "I know what you're doing. What's that?" I asked, making me look weak. "Poaching people." Whispering in ears, I chuckled. "Funny, I don't recall mentioning your name." "They came to me." His eyes narrowed. "Stay out of my affairs. Your affairs." I asked softly. "I'm only helping where you refused. If that threatens you, maybe you were never as strong as you thought." His face darkened. "You think you're clever?" "No," I said, meeting his stare. "I think I'm patient." He slammed his glass down on the table. Heads turned. Lily quickly stepped in. "Dad," she hissed. "People are watching." He straightened, forcing a smile. "Enjoy the party, son," he said, voice dripping with sarcasm. I didn't flinch. "I intend to." After he stormed off, Lily exhaled. "You rattled him." "Good," I said. "It's only the beginning." A week later, I visited a supplier Mark had cheated. "He owes me thousands," the man groaned. I trusted him. "I'll make it right," I said. "You?" "Yes," I replied. "Consider it. Repayment for what he never gave." The man shook my hand, gratitude flooding his face. Each deal I made chipped away at Mark's foundation. Soon, the whispers grew louder. "Mark's drowning. His partners are leaving. He's desperate." One afternoon, I ran into Chris at the gym. He smirked, but it lacked conviction. "Dad says you're meddling," he sneered. "Is that what he calls fixing his mistakes?" I asked. "You're jealous." "Always have been." "No," I said calmly. "I'm not jealous. I'm free. Can you say the same?" His glare faltered. He grabbed his bag and left without another word. Later that week, I saw Mark again, this time at the courthouse steps. He was arguing with a lawyer, face flushed. When he noticed me, he froze. For the first time, I saw fear behind his arrogance. He walked up, voice low. "You think this makes you powerful?" "No," I replied. "It makes me visible. Something you tried to take from me." He clenched his fists. "This isn't over, of course not," I said. "We're only getting started." He turned away, shoulders hunched. I watched him go, feeling a strange calm settle over me. I didn't need to strike him directly. His pride was doing the job for me. And piece by piece, it was breaking. The table was quiet, except for the clink of silverware. Roast chicken again, the same meal from years ago. My chest tightened. I set my fork down. "Mom, I need to ask you something." Her eyes lifted nervously. "What is it?" "Why didn't you fight for me?" My voice cracked sharper than I meant. "Why did you let him take you and leave me behind?" The air froze. Lily's fork stopped midair. Chris rolled his eyes. Mom's lip trembled. I thought it was best at the time. Best. I snapped. Best for who? Because it sure as hell wasn't best for me. Tears filled her eyes. I was scared, okay? Mark was so controlling. I told myself you'd be fine strong enough. I cut her off. You left me on that porch. 14 years old, suitcase in my hand, watching you drive away? You call that strength? She covered her face with shaking hands. I've carried that guilt every day. Then why didn't you say anything? I demanded. I was weak, she whispered. I thought keeping peace was better than fighting him. I told myself I'd make it up to you later, but later never came. My chest burned. Do you even know what that did to me? Chris suddenly snorted. Here we go again? Playing the victim? I turned on him. Shut up, Chris. He leaned back, smirking. You're still that bitter little boy, always whining about what you didn't get. Maybe if you'd grown up instead of sulking, things would be different. Different. I barked. You got vacations, cars, opportunities. I got silence. Don't lecture me about growing up. Lily's voice cut in, soft but firm. Stop, Chris. You don't remember, but I do. Chris frowned. Remember what? Her hands shook as she set her glass down. The day we left him? I cried in the back seat. I begged Dad to turn around. I kept saying it wasn't fair, but no one listened. The room went still. Chris blinked. You never told me that. Lily looked at me, her eyes glistening. I'm sorry. I was just a kid. I didn't know how to fight either. I swallowed hard. At least you cared. At least someone did. Mom reached across the table, fingers trembling. I cared. I just didn't act. That's my sin. I pulled my hand back. Caring means nothing when you abandon someone. Love without action is just words. She sobbed openly now, shoulders shaking. I know I failed you. Chris shook his head. This is pathetic. Digging up old history isn't going to change anything. I glared at him. It already has. You've lived your whole life believing you were the center. But tonight, you get to hear the truth that your perfect family was built on betrayal. He stood abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. Yes, you do, Lily said sharply. You need to hear it. You need to see what Dad's choices did to him, to us, to Mom. Chris looked between us, lost for once. I leaned forward. You called me bitter. You're damn right I am. But bitterness kept me alive. Bitterness built the man sitting here now. Mom whispered through her tears. Can you ever forgive me? I shook my head slowly. Forgiveness isn't a word you get to ask for. It's something you earn. And we're not there. Silence pressed down on us. The only sound was Mom's quiet crying. Finally, Lily reached over, touching my arm. Thank you for saying it. For making us face it. I met her eyes. Truth always comes out, Lily. Tonight it finally did. The table felt colder than ever. The past wasn't buried anymore. It was alive, breathing between us, impossible to ignore, and none of us would leave untouched. The news hit like wildfire. Mark's empire was collapsing. Deals gone, partners gone, creditors circling like vultures. I heard it first from Mr. Hayes. Your stepdad's finished. Couldn't cover payroll. Even the banks won't touch him. I nodded, calm. I'm not surprised. That week I saw Mark everywhere, rushing between offices, yelling into his phone, sweat on his brow. The arrogant smirk was gone. At a networking event, he cornered me. His voice was low, almost pleading. We need to talk. I raised a brow. Yes, he hissed. You have connections now. Influence. You can help me. Help you? I asked, feigning surprise. Why would I? His jaw clenched. Because you're family. I laughed softly. Family? That's rich. His eyes flickered. I know I was hard on you, but this is bigger than the past. If you step in now, you could save me. I leaned closer, letting him see the smile in my eyes. Now you know how it feels to be left behind. His breath caught. For the first time, fear seeped through. Later that night, Lily called me. Dad's breaking apart. Doesn't eat, doesn't sleep. Keeps muttering about losing everything. Everything was never his, I said. He built it on arrogance and lies. She whispered, Are you glad this is happening? I hesitated, then answered, I'm not glad. I'm satisfied. At dinner the next evening, the cracks showed deeper. Mark sat slumped at the head of the table, eyes hollow. Mom set food down, her hands trembling. Chris stabbed at his plate. You ruined us, Dad. Mark's head jerked up. Watch your mouth. No, Chris snapped. I've watched long enough. All my life you told me you were untouchable. Now look at you begging. Ungrateful brat, Mark spat. Ungrateful? Chris barked a laugh. You promised me a future, and now I've got nothing. You failed me. I leaned back in my chair. Funny, isn't it? The same man who left me with nothing has nothing left to give his own son. Mark's fists tightened. You think this is funny? No, I said quietly. I think it's justice. Mom's voice broke in, soft. Please, stop. We're tearing apart. We're already torn, Chris said bitterly. He did this. Mark slammed the table. I built this family. I stared at him. No, you built a cage, and now it's collapsing on you. His eyes burned into mine. You wanted this. You poisoned them against me. I shook my head. No, Mark, you did that yourself. I didn't need to lift a finger. The silence stretched heavy. Mark's shoulders sagged. For the first time, he looked small. After dinner, he cornered me again in the hall. His voice cracked. Please, I'm asking you man to man. Help me. Just a loan, an introduction, something. I studied him. This was the man who once looked at me like dirt, now begging. You always said I wasn't part of your family, I whispered. So don't call on me now. His eyes glistened, desperation spilling through. If you don't, I'll lose everything. I stepped back, and maybe it's time you know what it feels like. I walked away, leaving him trembling. Days later, word spread Mark's company filed for bankruptcy. His house, his cars, his status all gone. The empire he bragged about had crumbled into dust. At the cafe, people whispered, Mark's finished. Poetic, isn't it? He got what he deserved. I sat at my corner table, listening, silent. Lily joined me, her face pale. It's broken, you know. Just sits in the living room, staring at nothing. Maybe now he has time to think, I said. She touched my hand gently. Do you feel better? I looked out the window. Not better, but freer. That evening, Chris stormed into my place uninvited. You think you won, don't you? He shouted. I raised an eyebrow. Won what? You destroyed him, Chris spat. Destroyed us. I stood slowly. I didn't destroy him. He destroyed himself. I just survived it. Chris's voice cracked. I hate you. I met his glare. No. You hate him. And you hate yourself for realizing it too late. He froze, then stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I exhaled slowly. The boy they left behind had finally watched their king crumble. And for the first time, Mark looked at me not with scorn, but with fear. When the dust finally settled, Mark wasn't a king anymore. He was just a man tired, hollow, and small. I saw him sitting on the porch one evening, staring at the cracks in the pavement like they might hold answers. He noticed me and whispered, I never thought it would end like this. I stood a few steps away. None of us did. His eyes lifted, wet with something that looked too much like regret. Do you hate me? I let the silence hang before answering. I used to now. No, I just feel sorry for you, his mouth trembled. Sorry? Yes, I said quietly, because everything you built was made to keep others down. And when it crumbled, there was nothing left of you. He bowed his head, saying nothing. Later, Mom called me into the kitchen. She was slicing vegetables, her hands shaking. Want to talk? I leaned against the counter. Go ahead. Her voice wavered. I know I failed you. Should have protected you. Should have seen what was happening. I watched her carefully, and yet you didn't. She winced. I was blind. I thought keeping peace meant keeping quiet. But all I did was lose you. I didn't soften. You chose him over me. It doesn't go away. Tears welled in her eyes. Can we ever fix this? I shook my head slowly. No. We can be civil. We can coexist. No. But we'll never go back. Her knife clattered against the cutting board as her shoulders sagged. That night, Lily showed up at my door. She held a coffee cup in both hands like a shield. Can I come in? I nodded and stepped aside. She sank onto the couch, eyes darting everywhere but at me. I've wanted to say something for a long time. I sat across from her, then say it. Her lip trembled. I'm sorry. I knew how he treated you. I saw it, but I stayed quiet because I was scared. I thought if I kept my head down, I'd be safe. I studied her face. And did it make you safe? Her voice broke. No, it just made me a coward, and it made me lose my brother. Something in my chest loosened. You should have spoken then, but at least you're speaking now. She wiped her eyes. Do you hate me too? I shook my head. No, I don't have hate left in me. Just disappointment, she whispered. What now? I leaned back, exhaling. Now, nothing. I move on. I don't need revenge anymore. Karma already did the work. Her shoulders sagged with relief and grief all at once. The next morning, I walked through town. People nodded, smiled, whispered. They knew the story mark's rise, his arrogance, his fall. And they knew I had survived it. For once, their eyes didn't look through me. They saw me. I stopped by the park where I used to sit alone as a kid. The bench was the same, weathered and creaking under my weight. I ran my hand along the wood and whispered, It's over. For the first time, my chest didn't feel heavy. The anger that had fueled me for years was gone. When I stood to leave, I didn't look back. I stood on the porch, the same one where they had left me years ago. The wood groaned under my weight, but it wasn't the boy standing there anymore. It was me, the man I had become. Behind me, the door creaked open. Mom's voice wavered. You're leaving? I turned slightly. Yes. For good this time. Her hands twisted nervously. We can try again, can't we? Start fresh. I shook my head. Fresh. You can't start fresh on broken ground. What's done is done. She blinked rapidly, fighting tears. I don't want to lose you again. You already did, I said softly. That boy you left behind. He's gone. This version of me doesn't need saving. Chris stepped into the doorway, arms crossed. So what, you think you're better than us now? I met his glare. No, I just don't need you anymore, he scoffed. You're still bitter. That's all this is. Lily came forward, pushing past him. Stop, Chris, you don't get it. She looked at me, eyes filled with regret. He's not bitter. He's free. Chris rolled his eyes. Free? Walking away like a coward? I took a slow breath. No, Chris. Walking away takes more strength than clinging to something rotten. Silence fell for a moment. Even the wind seemed to pause. Mom whispered. So this is it? Yes, I replied firmly. This is me choosing myself. Mark's shadow appeared behind them, frail and hunched. His voice cracked. You'll regret turning your back on family. I laughed bitterly. Funny, isn't that what you all did to me? His face hardened, but his eyes betrayed fear. You'll see the world as cruel. I already have, I said, and I survived it without you. The weight of those words settled heavy in the air. Lily's voice broke through. I hope you find happiness. You deserve it. For the first time in years, I gave her a small smile. Thank you. I will. Chris muttered something under his breath. But I didn't care enough to ask. I turned toward the street, my steps steady. Each one felt like shedding a chain I'd carried for too long. Behind me, Mom called out again. Will we ever see you? I stopped at the edge of the porch. Maybe, but not like before. Not as your broken son. Only as the man who made it without you. I walked down the path, past the weeds that had overtaken the yard. My hand brushed the rusted gate, and for a moment, I thought about the child who once dreamed of being loved here. I whispered, You made it. You're free. The gate creaked as it closed behind me. The street stretched ahead, bright under the morning sun. People passed, nodding, smiling, acknowledging not with pity, but with respect. Lily's last words lingered in my ears, but I didn't look back. My story wasn't about them anymore. It wasn't about revenge or proving them wrong. It was about misserving, transforming, becoming whole. For years, I had carried their rejection like a wound. Now it was just a scar, and scars don't hurt. They remind you that you healed. I walked faster, breathing deeper, each step lighter than the last. When the house finally disappeared behind me, I didn't feel loss. I felt peace. I said quietly to myself, they may regret what they did, but I don't regret walking away. And with that, I moved forward.